This is my first video for YouTube, and I wanted to first talk about the Cfcr record fair that took place in Saskatoon this past Saturday, October 22nd. So I live in Lloydminster, which is right on the border of Saskatchewan and Alberta. So I hit the highway at 5 a.m. and I pulled into Saskatoon at the venue about 8 a.m. Got all set up. Had about an hour before the door opened, which was at 10. And like most record fairs, they have where you pay usually twice as much to get in an hour early before anybody else. If you pay, in this case, it was $10. You get in at 10 for the collector's hour, and then the regular $5 entrance fee started at 11. But anyways, I was set up by 9, so I had about an hour to check out some of the other vendors, and I did pick up a few things, starting with this. I've been looking for this for a while. This is the Rolling Stones, their Satanic Magister's Request album with the lenticular cover. You know, it's kind of lame, but you wiggle it back and forth and the faces change. And I did want to get an original copy of this. It's not one of their most popular albums. It originally came out this is a U.S. pressing from 67, stereo pressing. Here's the inner sleeve, and it came with the original inner sleeve there. And then I also picked up Flamin' Groovies. They're Jumpin' in the Night LP, which I believe came out in 79. This is a UK pressing. And on the same note of the Flamin' Groovies, I got this one in the summertime. This is the album that came out the year before. Unfortunately, this one has a pretty bad edge warp, so the first 2 tracks on each side skip. So I have to try and find a new copy to replace this one. And I also got, this is an all-girl band from Atlanta, Georgia. Their stuff is pretty hard you don't find very often in the wild. And it's pretty pricey. This one was like $40, but I traded the guy for a couple of things that he wanted of mine. This is their 4th album from 2014. They're kind of a punky, all-girl punky, garagey, indie kind of band. This one's kind of neat. Came on the green marble vinyl. And I also picked up a reissue this is a reissue of the debut from the Electric Prunes. Originally came out in 1967. This is a repress, and I believe it's an unofficial repress. It came out about 2018 or 2019. And this one's on, I don't know if you can see that too well, but this one's on purple vinyl. And like I said, I believe that's an unofficial one. It's a stereo version. I know in 2018 Rhino released an official version in mono. So this is, like I said, I believe this is an unofficial release. Also picked up a Canned Heat compilation album called Collage. It's from 1970 and has sort of various tracks from their first 3 LPs. And then I was able to pick up a couple of classic kind of things. This is the 5th album from Cfcr, Cosmos Factory. This is Canadian pressing from 1970, and got this. It's still in the shrink, and the vinyl's in pretty good shape. And it was only $5. Got this one, another classic. It's The Who. This is the reissue with the Sellout album and a quick one together as a 2 LP set. Got that one for a good price, $10. This one I picked up. I was really surprised at this one. Cover's in really good shape, and it's, I don't know if you can see it right there, $15. So I figured, oh crap, for that kind of price, it's vinyl's gonna be trashed, but the vinyl's in excellent shape. So I got a super deal on that one. You usually don't see this one for under 50 or $60. So that's pretty much all I got at the record fair, and this was, I believe, the 7th annual fair. They missed a couple of years due to COVID, and last year they moved it into a new venue. They used to do it at the Amigos nightclub in Saskatoon. This time it was, and this year it was at the same location. Also, it's the Grace Westminster Church, just off of Broadway, and a bigger location. Although this year it seems like there was fewer vendors this year. One of the vendors that used to go all the time was a couple of guys, well, 3 of them actually, called the Three Amigos, and they had a collection that they bought from a local guy that passed away, and he had a huge collection, and they used to set up, but I heard that they sold it, the remainder of the collection that they still had, that they sold it to a guy in Calgary last fall. So they weren't there at this show, which they normally are, but one of the guys that's from that group, he was there. That's the guy I bought the Coat Hangers LP from. Anyways, when I was done, after we got all loaded back, minivan all loaded back up and ready to head home, I did stop. I only had time to stop at one store in Saskatoon, the Vinyl Exchange, which is right downtown in Saskatoon. And I normally go to the Vinyl Diner too, which is just off of Broadway. But I didn't have time to go to both, and I wanted to get back to the Vinyl Exchange because I'd been there about a month before. I was in Saskatoon a month before that, and I picked up this album, a band called The Steps, and I didn't know anything about them, although the cover is a really neat looking cover, so I figured these guys gotta be good. So I took a chance and I picked it up, and I really like it. They're an 80s kind of psych revival band, and there was 2 albums there, but like I said, I'd never heard of them before, so I took a chance with this one, and figured, well, I'll go back and see if they still have the other one that was still there, and it's a live album called Alive Alive Oh, and it was recorded in Stuttgart, Germany, and I believe in 91. That's when the album came out. It doesn't say the year it was recorded, but I'm assuming it's 91. That's when the album came out, and it's on a pretty green vinyl. And when I was there, I also picked up this one. This is kind of a legendary band. They were together for a very short period of time in the late 70s, early 80s. And it features Fred Sonic Smith, ex of MC5 on guitar, and Scott Ashton, ex of the Stooges, on drums. And they only officially released one single in their while the band was together, and some live bootlegs, which this is, have been released over the years, and this one was recorded in Ypsilanti, Michigan on April 10th of 1976, and was released in 2020. And it's called No Sleep Till Ypsilanti. And I took a chance on this one because with a lot of these things like this and MC5 live stuff and Stooges live stuff and Johnny Thunder's live stuff, some stuff is like good and some is total crap. Fortunately, this one is very good. The recording is very good. The vocals are buried a bit in the mix, but overall, it's a good album. I recommend it. So, Sonic Ronnie big band. So, if you see it around, pick it up. It's worth it. So that was it for the day for the record fair. Although Friday, the day before the fair, I did get a mail order come in from Trash Wax Records. They're out of Holland, and it's one of the mail order places that I order from on a regular basis. For one thing, they carry a lot of stuff that I'm into, like garage and power pop and some punky kind of stuff. But the reason I try and get whatever I can from them is their shipping rates are awesome. They have a flat rate. One album is €17.50, and if you order whatever you want to order after that, it's the same price. Shipping's a flat rate of £17.50 or euros. I mean, so I try and get whatever I can from them because their shipping rates are really good, especially now. Shipping rates have gone up so drastically from the U.S. and Europe. But anyways, I did pick up some compilations. I love compilations. Always have great stuff on them. This one's called the Surf Creatures. So it's a bunch of obscure surf stuff from the 50s and 60s. Also got this one called Killer Cuts. This is they'll probably do more than one. This is the first one, and it's on Get Off the Road Records, who also did another series of compilations prior to that. I don't know if you can see all three of them. These ones are called Creature Cuts. There's 3, 2, and 1. They did 3 volumes of that, and it's the same deal. All obscure 50s and 60s stuff that most of it you've probably never heard of. Got this one. There's a 3-volume set of these, all with different titles. This one's called Wildsville. I also had the other 2 already, Wildsville and Weirdsville. And these again are more of those compilations with pretty obscure bands on great compilations. So like I said, I love compilations. A couple other things I got. The brand new one from Mr. Chups. They're a Russian instrumental surf kind of band. They do have their bass player, Zombarella, there is some vocals on. I wouldn't actually call it singing. It's mostly she just kind of talks in her broken English, but most of it is instrumental. This is the latest one, Visiting the Skeleton in Your Closet. And they've put out a couple of new ones over the last couple of years, and then there's been, over the last 2 or 3 years, there's been a whole bunch of their albums being reissued, and they've got a ton of albums, but this is the latest one. And if I remember correctly, this is on colored vinyl. Yes, it's on a marble swirl, blue marble swirl, and that was the European issue. There's a U.S. issue from Missing Think Records, and I forget, it's on a different color. I got a couple of Cramps thing. This is a new series that I think they started last year. It's called Tales from the Cramps, and this is volume 2. They put out volume 1. It was either earlier this year or last year, and it's basically what it is a pick of live recordings and demos and that kind of stuff. And I got this one, and I love this one for the cover alone. And I gotta admit, I'm sort of I used to be into the Cramps, and then I wasn't into them, and then a couple of years ago I started getting back into the Cramps and got a whole bunch of live stuff that I still haven't listened to. Probably a couple of dozen albums that I haven't listened to yet. But the thing I love about these Cramps unofficial releases is the covers. So many of them have such killer covers, and I usually buy them. I start off buying them just for the covers, and this is one of them. And Lux and Ivy have a massive, well, Lux passed away some time ago, but they used to do compilation albums with singles from their collection of all this weird, obscure stuff that they collected. And this one, I think, this is the only one that actually features a radio show that Lux did and brought in some of his collection to play on air. And this album doesn't really give you any information. There's the inside cover. There's the back cover. It just lists here like the songs he plays, but it doesn't tell you which radio station. It's one of the LA stations, but it doesn't tell you which one. And I believe this originally came. This show he did in Hollywood in I think it was 1984. Anyways, it's a great album with him being weird in between tracks and lots of weird sound effects and shit like that. But it's a killer album called The Purple Knife Show. Well, that's it. That's my first video. I hope to do more. Maybe get a better setup than I have. I think this is a little dark, but hopefully when I put it up on YouTube, you'll be able to see it good enough. Anyways, thanks for watching, and hope to see you again.